Welcome to After the Pull, the video series where I take the rest of the comic books that I read for the week and I tell you if they were pretty good or not. It's as simple as that. Guys, I'm Mike Spider Slayer. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you love me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy, guys, you came to the right place. Also, I have a video called Worthy Ones where I talk about the newest issue ones that came out for the comic book week. I deem them worthy or not worthy. I'm going to leave that at the end of the video so you can check that out as well. And if you guys love $15 off or whatnot, well, check it out, guys. There's a link in my description box below. That's right, save yourself $15 when you win your first auction at whatnot. It's absolutely for free. There's no cost to you, and if you're looking to save some money on some comic books, that's where you're gonna want to go. All right, guys, so let's dive into this bad boy. So I feel like the theme this week is like horror, scary, dark books. The first book we're going to talk about is The Incredible Hulk issue 3. Now, I've been digging this series from Philip Kennedy Johnson. It's not an overly complex plot right now. You got Hulk obviously fighting with Banner like he usually does, and this Hulk though is pretty stupid. He's not like a smart Hulk whatsoever. He's trying to keep Banner at bay. This is a very horror-like book. He has a sidekick by the name of Charlie, and she wants to be a Hulk, and she's been tagging along with them. There's this mother elder person that wants the Hulk dead. In fact, she's in charge of like all the monsters, so she's basically trying to stop them. And in this issue, the artwork looks very good. It's what you can expect in a dark themed comic book where you get to see Hulk fight little zombies in the beginning. Here's his little friend by the name of Charlie, and then they go and they fall into this pit and they fight this big huge ass freaking beast, and Hulk, you know, makes nothing of it. He totally destroys it in like 2 pages. We see the established relationship developing here when it comes to Charlie and Hulk, and they go off in their own little adventure now, and he basically says, you know, if you talk to Banner, if you like Banner, you're out of here. And that was basically it. This comic is okay. This particular issue didn't really offer anything to the story. It was just a fun, destructive issue. The dialogue from Hulk is very limited. Everything he says is stupid. He must have said the word stupid about 7 or 8 times in this book, to the point where it was actually comical. I do like the relationship between the girl and Hulk. I think that's pretty cool. I'm curious to see where that actually goes. So at the end of the day, I'm going to give this one a B-. It wasn't the best Hulk book so far. Probably the weakest of the 3 issues. I need to see a little bit more character development, and I also need to see more villain development here. We know that there's a person that's in charge of the monsters, but we haven't seen very much of her yet. So I'm curious to see the direction of this comic. Blade issue 2, written by Brian Hill, is a book that I had no expectations for, but by the time I got done with issue 1, I was pleasantly surprised. Now, when it came to this comic book, Blade was trying to save a woman by the name of Donna from this swordsman, but we didn't know until the end of the issue that the swordsman was the good guy, and it was the only person that could stop this Donna character. And once he was defeated, she released her true evil, and now she's going to do her evil things, right? So what happened was Blade was captured, and there was this girl or this woman that wound up rescuing him, and they said that, okay, we're going to team up and we're going to save the day. That's where the last issue left off. In this issue, we wind up seeing Blade come face to face with his weapons dealer, ex-girlfriend by the name of Tulip, which was kind of cool. The artwork in this book is actually really good. I love the facial features. I love the action scenes. The characters look very evil in here. And in the beginning of this book, it kicked off with like kind of like this, you know, tension release scene, as they call it, where the two hook up and then they discuss the plans of what's going on, how she must team up with him so they can stop the evil mastermind that's going to take over the world and all this stuff. And then from that point on, that's when shit like really hits the fan in this comic book. We see the helicopter coming into the condo here, and they're going after Tulip. What Tulip was involved in, we kind of don't really know at this point. But again, the action scenes in this comic right here, when Blade enters the helicopter and takes out these soldiers, that is so freaking badass. I really enjoyed that. And so we wind up getting Tulip winds up getting kidnapped, and now Blade has to, you know, get her back and whatnot. So you get to see the people that are behind the capturing of Tulip. You get to see this dude right here, this old man who's got like long ass fingers and fingernails, and it's kind of creepy. And then you wind up seeing Blade go to the person that rescued him and is going to team up with him to rescue Tulip. And it was kind of cool, man. Lots of action, lots of stuff, kind of creepy things at the end with this dude here that's strangling Blade. I loved it. I thought this book is an A all the way, man. It was a lot of fun. Besides some of the characters that I don't really know yet because I'm not into like Blade comics all that much, I found myself a little bit lost with certain characters. But nevertheless, I really enjoyed this comic. I think it has true potential. Don't sleep on this one. Pick up Blade. Wolverine issue 36, Weapons of Vengeance. This is part 3. Guys, this has been an awesome short story written by Benjamin Percy, taking place in Wolverine and Ghost Rider. I think we have like an Omega issue that comes out after this, and that wraps up the whole story. But if you're a horror fan, you like Benjamin Percy's writing, I think you're going to really enjoy this. It's been a great horror story when it comes to this freaky little kid who has this supernatural entity attached to him. And it's just insane seeing these flashbacks of what this kid has gone through, right? And it's a story about Wolverine and Ghost Rider having the same threat. And it's kind of been attached to them their whole entire lives of them stopping this boy. And he kind of disappeared off of the face of the earth for the longest time, and now deaths have started occurring once again that's attached to the boy, and now both characters are led to him as an adult, and they have to try to stop him. And this book is insane, dude. You got this guy that's attached to it, which is connected to the Fall of X storyline. He does work for Orcus. His name is like Pike or something like that. I forgot what it is. But his whole thing is to capture Wolverine and to get this kid, and he wants to expel that entity from the kid and bring it to Wolverine and make him Helverine. And oh my gosh, the lead up into that is just so intense. And look at that art, man. It's so good. And by the time you get to the end of this comic book, like I said, he's transferring the entity to Wolverine, and it just looks like this like Wolverine Ghost Rider insane thing. Totally reminds you of like Weapon X back in the day, but don't let that fool you that this is a copy off of this story. It's just really good, really intense, and I absolutely love it. This is an A+ for me. I've loved this story since it started coming out like a month ago. Definitely recommend this. If you can't get it on the racks now, buy the trade when it comes out. World Tree issue 5. Now, I'm not going to show you any artwork, unfortunately, when it comes to this book, because there's just nudity all over the place. When you just got a naked lady standing around through the entire issue, yeah, you really can't show any of that stuff. But anyway, when it comes to issue 5 of World Tree, last issue we found out that this is a spoiler. So if you have not read issue 4 yet, I suggest that you fast forward this video or maybe skip this review entirely. But we found out that Sammy is the female that's the naked one running around killing people, and she is the brother of Gabriel, who created this whole world tree to begin with. And you're just like, what is going on here? And in this comic, we witness a death that happens in here, which you did not expect in the comic book. And what happens is the whole internet shuts off because Sammy, or whatever you want to call her, I guess that's her human name. Otherwise, she calls herself like, that's not my name, that's my meat name, or whatever it is. But anyway, she was gaining control of the internet and everyone was starting to kill each other. But her brother Gabriel shuts off the internet and she cannot, start to control the world. And this causes a problem. And let's just say that there's only one server left that our cast of characters can go to try to stop this whole thing. It's going in a completely different direction now, but I can't wait to see the journey. This book is so insane. I absolutely love it. Now, there wasn't a lot of action in this comic. There was a lot of character stuff in this book, but I find myself so intrigued. It's such a page turner. It's not for the young at heart. I can tell you that. This is a very grotesque book, but it is a good book and I really enjoy it. And I'm going to give this one an A+ as well. There's some good books out there right now that I'm really enjoying. I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts on World Tree. Death of Venomverse issue 3. I'm not gonna lie, guys, this was my favorite issue of the series so far. The action is balls to the walls here, man. It's so much fun, and you can't help but feel the emotion of all these different versions of Venom on trying to stop this OP carnage. The artwork in this book is absolutely explosive. I love all the panel layouts in here. I love the characters' facial expressions. They're so awesome. It's just it's just comic book fun. I've said this before. It's like a just a summer popcorn flick, right? And in this issue, you get to see the Venoms recruit Andy Benton, who is a student for Flash Thompson back in the day. And she became Mania, which was a Venom. But that symbiote wound up getting destroyed, and now she becomes like a Carnage symbiote. She's like a Carnage anti-Venom combined thing. Whatever the case is, you don't want to touch her or she'll disintegrate the symbiote. So they obviously recruited her thinking that, that she can do damage against it. So in this issue, you get to see them all team up and you just get to see this huge battle commence. Every single issue, it just feels like there's more at stake because they're just getting more and more desperate in the comic, and the battle is so cool, dude. I absolutely love this. I love the artwork in here. By the time you get to the end of this issue, you wind up seeing that their plan somehow worked, and it looks like that Carnage is dying and he might not be the ultimate thing altogether. And then you get a couple other short stories in this book. You get a story with David Michelini in a Venom story, and then you get that Kid Venom thing, which I don't know, I'm not buying that crap at all. So it is what it is, but again, there was a lot going for this comic book. So much fun. I definitely recommend this. This one is a B+ for me. The Hunger in the Dusk. This is issue 2. Now, the one thing that this story has going for it is G. Willow Wilson's storytelling here. It's actually a really good story when it comes to like the humans and these goblins are working together in order to destroy these creatures, right? The one thing that I find hard about certain independent comic books is like culture and lore and getting to know all the different types of characters. And I find that a little bit overwhelming for me in this comic book, because in this comic, not only are you introduced to the main characters, right? And know a little bit more about them in this issue, but you're also introduced to the supporting cast. And there's 1, 2, 3, like 4, 5. There's like 5, 6 different characters in the comic book right from the start that you're trying to get used to. And not only are you getting used to that, but you're also getting used to, again, the culture and the way a wedding works in this comic book and things like that. And so it can be overwhelming. This comic, though, is absolutely beautiful. I love the artwork in this comic, and I love the adventure that our former Princess Goblin is going on with this human to try to stop this common enemy that they have. And in this comic, you get to see this battle that's happening, and you do get to see our heroes actually prevail in this comic book. However, there is a loss. Now, supposedly, these bunch of characters, these human characters, are very hard to destroy. It's like 300. It's like the Spartan army, right? There's not a ton of them, and when you lose one, it's a huge deal, and you find that loss actually happen at the end of this comic, and you're just like, oh man, that kind of sucks, right? So the comic itself is really, really good. It's like I said, it's just hard to digest all the characters' names, the cultures, everything else that surrounds it. But as the story progresses, I'm hoping that we can get attached to these characters a little bit more. So with that being said, I'm going to give this book a solid B. Pretty art, nice story, curious to see the direction of the comic and the character growth itself. Misery issue 4. Now, when this series came out, I thought, oh, here we go. Just another stupid throwaway symbiote story that's got no depth to it. Man, was I completely wrong when it comes to this comic book. They have done such a great job at developing Liz Allen as a character. The writer here is Sabir Pariza, and Francisco Mortaranio is the artist here. The art looks great. The overall story with Liz Allen is absolutely awesome. The beginning of this book is really cool because you get to see all the different like story threads throughout the years when it comes to Liz Allen, when it comes to her different relationships, like with like Molten Man and Harry Osborn, and all the trauma and tribulations that she's gone through. Now, based off of the last issue, she's been captured and she's been reliving her life, seeing all the failures that she has gone through. And what makes this comic good is you get to learn more about the character this way. And it really references everything that she's gone through in different issues, especially like Spectacular Spider-Man. And that's what comics don't do enough of. They tackle story threads that actually happen, but don't put editors' boxes on there. They need to do that more often. Here it's referenced like Spectacular Spider-Man 189, and then Spectacular Spider-Man issue 200, and then the Amazing Spider-Man issue 581. Like, there's all kinds of great stories that the writer is trying to tell you to go back and read, and all this stuff is touched on in this comic book, which is absolutely brilliant here. And at the end of the day, when she's in this capsule and she's trying to escape, she's a failure as a nurse, as a wife, as a mother, a CEO, right? There's nothing there. And at the end of the day, she was in an abusive relationship with Harry Osborn. So it's absolutely crazy. You get to see her escape out of the tube, and then you get to see Spearhead and Spider-Man work together to try to find out what's going on with these Acclimax guardsmen getting killed and whatnot. And then when we see Misery trying to escape, we also get to see, I forgot this guy's name, but he's acquired all the freaking Acclimax symbiotes, and they're overtaking his body. He can't control them all, and I guess he's going to tackle Misery or whatever the case may be. He's just having struggles in himself. But the cool thing at the end of this comic book is Misery comes face to face with Lily Holster, which is Harry Osborn's ex-wife, known as Menace, which is now known as Queen Cat, and she is the biological mother of Stanley. So I thought that was cool. I didn't see that coming in here, and we haven't seen her in a little while. I want to say it's been a couple years since she was in this book, as she's turning over a new leaf, going from the Menace character to this Queen Cat character. So I thought that was an interesting ending, and overall a solid comic book when it comes to the character growth of Liz Allen. They're making her more prominent role to a, supporting cast character, right? So I'm going to give this book a solid A. There's a lot going on in this comic, but it's very enjoyable. Ultimate Invasion issue 3, written by Jonathan Hickman. Now, if you read Jonathan Hickman's stuff before, there's always a lot of world building, seeds being planted for the future, and the current book that you always currently read never really delivers until much later down the road, okay? When it comes to Hitch's artwork in this book, it's actually really fine. It's good. It's cool to see all the different cast of characters. Now, I know a lot of people are probably anxiously awaiting maybe the original Ultimate Universe to come back, but that's not what you're going to get in this comic book. You're going to get a new Ultimate Universe. You're going to get a new cast of characters in this comic. And what you get here is you get to see cool interactions between Howard Stark and Tony Stark when he was younger. So Howard Stark is more of the prominent role in this comic. And then you get to see like a new version of Hulk. You get to see the Rasputins, a different Captain Britain. And that's kind of what you really get. You get the building blocks of all these characters. You get briefly introduced to them. And they're all gathering around because there was an attack that happened in the last issue. And Abadiah Stane wound up getting killed in the last issue. The Maker comes to Howard Stark and gives him, you know, a job to do, and he's going to be working with this version of Reed Richards. Now, what you can always expect in this comic is those obviously white pages where you can expect world building, right? So you can see a remade world by the Maker, and all these is your dots and your color plots there. And so I think the darker the dot, the more he's already... No, I think the blacker the dot is, or the darker the dot is, it's an undiscovered territory. So in this page, you can see that there's, you know, again, all these... It's a Jonathan Hickman thing, right? What can you expect? If you're looking for action in this comic, you're not going to get it. If you like a lot of standing around and talking and building blocks, that's what you're going to get at this comic book. So I think I'm going to give this one a C+. It hasn't knocked my socks off, and I really want something to happen. There's one more issue in this miniseries before they relaunch, I guess, the Ultimate Universe going forward. The last page of this comic was absolutely awesome, and I don't want to spoil that portion of this comic because it's the one good thing going for it. But yeah, C+ for me, like I said, and you know, it is what it is. I'm curious to see how they'll wrap up this miniseries. So there you have it, guys. There are all the books now that I read for the current comic book week. I want to hear in the comments below, what did you like? What did you dislike? Is there something that I didn't buy that you want to recommend to me? Put it in those comments below. Of course, guys, if you love my content, I'll leave you more content right here to click on. And of course, guys, as always, keep buying, keep collecting, but most importantly, please read your comic books.